Now, if you know me, there are two things I love in the entertainment industry: comic book movies and animations about comic books. Ironically, I have never read a comic book or ever planned to. Look what they did to my boy Peter! Of the comic book movies and TV, the MCU clearly led the way, although you could argue that they have been fumbling the bag recently. She-Hulk, Quantumania, pretty much MCU Phase 4. The DC movies are... the movies are, they're a thing, okay? They're a thing that definitely exists. Very hit or miss. For example, for every The Suicide Squad, not The Suicide Squad, The Suicide Squad, there is a Justice League. Not Justice League Zack Snyder's cut, Justice League not Zack Snyder's cut. Hey, fun fact, I have only fell asleep in cinemas one time, and it was during one film, and that film was the DC's Aquaman. Look, I'm sorry, not sorry, but I just found Aquaman kind of boring. The issue with DC is that they looked over at Marvel and saw them getting so much money from the MCU franchise, they thought,
fine, I'll do it myself.
And fast track to a Justice League crossover when they have only established Superman, Batman and Wonder Woman as characters. And can you believe that Batman didn't even get a solo movie in the DCEU? Now they are trying to cover their tracks by using The Flash to reboot their universe into the DCU. But I think Ezra Miller was actually auditioning for the role of Eobard Thawne by terrorizing the entirety of Hawaii and everybody else who lives in America. Funnily enough though, the opposite can be said about their animated shows. DC take the cake with their animated shows and movies like Young Justice, Batman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond, Under the Red Hood, etc. And I'm using etc. in the terms of there being many more other great shows and not in the terms of I don't know anymore, but I want to sound smart. Whilst Marvel's animated shows are controversial with any version of Spider-Man, except for the GOAT. Living on the edge for the crime spinning webs. Marvel don't have that much to boast except Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, Spectacular Spider-Man, Iron Man Armored Adventures, etc. And this time I do mean etc. in the terms of I don't know anymore, but I want to sound smart. So why am I telling you all this? Well, mainly to pad for time, but to also show you that DC have a good rep when it comes to animated content and why I am excited about my adventures with Superman. Oh, Lois. Wow, that intro is way quicker than I remember. Anyway, My Adventures with Superman is the latest DC animated project, this time broadcasted on Adult Swim. It tells the story of Clark Kent and his best friend Jimmy Olsen becoming interns at the Daily Bugle under the guidance of Lois Lane, who is also an intern but aspires to become a fully fledged journalist by figuring out the true identity of the new superhero, Superman. There have been Superman shows in the past, and yes, Crypto the Superdog does count, but this show does things differently, for better or for worse depending on your taste. Like Clark not knowing anything about Krypton, or that aliens even exist. The Fortress of Solitude being buried under the Kent farm? I think it's not quite sure right now. Oh, and this. I don't know about you, but the idea of Superman having a magical girl transformation sequence is absolutely hilarious to me, and it's great. I mean, if Ben 10 can have a magical girl sequence, why can't Superman? And the main attraction, oh, Lois Lane. Okay, let me get this out of the way. Whenever Lois is on screen, she does something to me.
Ah, welcome back, Jeffrey. How was your... Oh my God, even his shadow. Look at his shadow!
I don't know what it is, but she is both cute and attractive. And you normally don't get both. And her feisty nature and the way she interacts with others, she just creates a chemical reaction in my brain. Like a rush of dopamine. Also, I love what they do with her character. They make Lois as much as a main character as Clark. In fact, she is so much of a main character, the show is called My Adventures with Superman. as in Lois's adventures with Superman and her mystery solving of who is Superman. She's a much better mystery solver than another coloured female protagonist, who shall not be named. And it's just refreshing to have a show with a female lead who isn't constantly shitting on the opposite sex. And yes, at times she can be a damsel in distress, but not because she is a fragile female, but because she is a literal human being and cannot go toe to toe with a 50-foot fucking robot. It doesn't make her worse as a character. In fact, it benefits her because it makes her feel more like a real person who has actual strengths and actual weaknesses. Yes, she doesn't have the brawn, but she makes up for it with her quick thinking and bravery, which can get her out of trouble as much as it can get her into trouble. Hollywood and toxic feminists should learn a thing or two from Lois, that people don't want to watch a female character constantly talking down to the opposite gender about toxic masculinity, even though that said female character does things just as bad, if not worse in comparison. It also helps that Lois is just...
Oh my god, even in shadows.
Yeah, she's great. Clark will take some getting used to with his whole trying to figure out who he really is and whether or not he should tell Lois and Jimmy that he is the Superman and what that would do to their relationship. Jimmy is a weird one. From the 5 episodes I have watched so far, Jimmy is clearly the weakest character as he doesn't really provide anything except that he is a conspiracy theorist that believes aliens exist and runs one of them YouTube channels trying to tell the whole world that too. And of course, nobody believes him, and of course, he is the only one that is right. Jimmy feels like a third wheel because the series is having Clark and Lois have a clear attraction towards each other, but every time it's about to get good, Jimmy cock blocks, and it reminds me of my torture past where I never got the girl because I was too much of a pussy to ask her and... Sorry. Got kind of real there for a second. One thing I was interested in when I first watched the show was who are going to be the villains, and since this is a series, will there be enough villains who I can truly believe are posing a threat towards Superman across 25 minutes an episode, 10 plus episodes a season? And so far, yes, the villains have been able to pose a threat. Well, maybe not the villains themselves, but the tech that they have somehow acquired, which leads into a bigger mystery, and that is intriguing. There doesn't seem to be any other aliens or Kryptonians as villains as of now, but that also plays into the overall plot that I'm assuming is going to show up later in the series. So yeah, all in all, My Adventure with Superman looks like a good show, with nice animation, competent writing, and great character design. Oh, Lois. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below, and how many of you are also in love with Lois. I mean, the first couple episodes of the show. Cola out.
Welcome back, Jeffrey. How was your... Oh my god, even in shadows. Look at his